How's it going? This is hopefully that started. Been a while since I posted. So I was going to do a review here. I was asked by another YouTuber, um, Daddy Rolled a One, to do a review of his supplement that he's working on called Alchemy Explosives and Inventions. And actually, it's a pretty fun supplement. So I'm doing the guy a favor. He's a cool dude. Hopefully, you'll check out his channel and buy his stuff. This one, we're going to look at this pretty short supplement for, it's mostly an OSR supplement. So for like the BECME type stuff, the basic expert rules, and I think old school essentials it'll work with. Um, so what you have here is basically a little addendum to add classes, sort of focusing on alchemy, well, kind of like it says, alchemy, explosives, and inventions, right? Now, this contains 3 extra classes, full classes: the alchemist, the demolitionist, and the inventor. Give you a rundown of what's in here. It's very well organized, as you can see. It's got a nice table of contents. It's sort of laid out very nicely, which is overrated with some of the supplements that you find, right? Or underrated, I'm sorry. Definitely like seeing this. Just adding that little bit of professionalism, like that helps as you reference these little documents. Now it is kind of short. It's only about 20 pages or so, but still, like, thank you for doing the groundwork, for making it organized and nice. You see he's got these little designer notes in there that kind of tells you what the inspiration was and what the thinking was to go into these things, right? So that's also a very nice touch, especially for DMs, which most of us are, that if you're looking at this. So what you have here initially is expert class concepts. These aren't full classes, but these are little modifications you can do to a class to make it into something else, right? An example here being the apothecary, right, which is basically a base cleric class, right? But you can develop potions, and you can kind of do some other things. You can recognize potions, but the drawback is you can't wear plate mail. And if you're familiar with kind of old school stuff, which I haven't really played much of lately, actually a long time, but it's very simple, and it's kind of, this is why people like the old school kind of stuff. It's not as crunchy, right? So here it's very simple. If you want to turn your cleric into an apothecary, you gain this ability, you lose the ability to use plate mail, right? And this extends down to these sort of little class modifications you can do, right? So for fighters, you've got arms crafter, artillerist, pathfinder, sapper. You've got some for magic users and some for thieves. And again, you gain an ability, you lose an ability, right? Pretty straightforward in that sense. And there's some cool ones in here. I kind of like I really like the relic hunter, the pathfinder, the saboteur, right? Very simple kind of adjustments. Like for the saboteur, you can basically create traps. You can use your find remove traps to create traps, which is awesome, right? Like that's something that definitely needs to be in all kinds of TTRPGs for rogues, is creating traps. It's a great addition. I'll just say that, like, having played and having to be like, well, can I create a trap, and having remember, but yeah, you can do here. It's like built in, right? Roll this, and it's a nice thing from somebody who's clearly played a lot of games, right? Just little features to throw in there, right? Pathfinder for a fighter is basically a fighter that can hide in shadows, get a little bit of a roguey feel to them. The relic hunter, very simple, right? It's a cleric who looks, he's an Indiana Jones type character, right? So he can find traps in the same way as a thief does, and maybe his turn undead is a little worse. So kind of cool little flavor additions to already existing classic classes. Moving down, you have the 3 created classes here, and these are unique. It's like fully functional, self-contained classes: the alchemist, the demolitionist, and the inventor. These are fun, right? And I especially like, in a kind of dorky way, the alchemist uses these. So where is it? Uses these Latin-based yeah, calcinato, solutio, coagulatio, using the Latin sort of Italian Renaissance kind of flair for their abilities. I don't know why, I just love that, right? And it's got some useful stuff. So you can, you know, calcinato gives you bonus to fire-based attacks, and they're also elementally themed, like fire, water, earth, that kind of stuff. I don't want to read you the whole thing, right? Because I still want you to buy it, but it's got some cool stuff, right? And cool little abilities. Maybe it's my favorite ability from the alchemists. Just the theme. I don't know. They're all just, it's just kind of fun, right? You get to build a laboratory if you advance enough, which is kind of cool. But you can make um, basically potions, like imitate spells and stuff with your potions. It's cool. It's a nice little class addition, especially for a old school type game. It's very well done and not overpowered. And the Demolitionist is the next one. This one has a lot of really interesting kind of fun things to put in there. You know, chiefly I think is, well, you have this, so it's basically prevent auxiliary damage, which lets you basically create explosives that are contained, right? And little bombs, and it's got a rule to create back powder, bomb, or powder keg, depending on what your level is and how much explosive power you want. And then the prevent auxiliary damage ability lets you contain that blast, right? So it's not just like you put a bomb and everything goes up in smoke, right? You know what you're doing. And collapse construction. This is another fun one where you can like collapse an archway or a doorway, things that are actually useful in dungeoneering, right? And then the set fuse, which is also super fun. This is super fun, right? Because this lets you make a bomb that goes off at a certain time. You set a fuse, depending on how long, it goes off at a semi predetermined state, right? Which is a fun thing that I'd never thought to do, and I think there's like 100% chance I'm going to work this into a campaign at some point or another. So again, the Demolitionists, fun abilities, fun rules on what they can create. So they black powder, bomb, powder keg, different kinds of demolition. So you can have a small thing or a big thing, and rules on how much it takes to do it. The Inventor basically makes stuff, right? And he basically makes things. The way it's set is that it has basically replicating certain spell effects through inventions, right? And it has some drawbacks, like it's very noisy, it's very clunky, hard to carry, whatever depending on what the invention is. And, it does certainly leaves a lot of room for DMs and players to work out new inventions. So it can be a very fun class. This is a kind of class that's good for players that like to, take a very dynamic approach to their characters, like think about a lot of stuff. It's not as much of it can be less fun if you're just kind of rolling up something and you don't want to put a lot of thought into your gaming experience. So this is a class that very much caters to a certain kind of player, which is cool, right? It's got, I think, one of the inventions, if I remember correctly, it was the grappling hook gun, I think, was on there. There's a chart for it. It's like, oh, I have to have that. It's like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. There's no way I'm not working that in somewhere. So those are the kind of three classes that they've added, and it's really like the core of this supplement. Now here you also have alchemical equipment, which is a great addition. Right? This one I think could have had more, and actually should have more, because these are very cool little things, and like alchemical items to sort of inspire your alchemist, so things to create. He's got about 20 things here, which is cool, right? And some of these are quite useful. Chemical grease, imitate a grease spell, alchemical fire, certain fun thing. Invisible ink has kind of funny things that are fun to use. A lot of good kind of useful stuff here. Acid neutralizer, plague ward. Acid neutralizer is fun. I don't know why I like that one a lot. It's like an acid that's particularly damaging to slimes. And then, oops, the what was the deep waters? Let's see, visible ink. There was another one, alchemical solvent, I think. Anyway, it's got plague ward, fun stuff, right? And you have, moving on to demolitions, here's where it gives you the rules for the firebomb, flash bomb, and different kinds of bombs you can make. These are all very, very cool and have some good, nice rules built around them so they're not too ridiculous, right? Very, very fun. Rules for explosives and how they work, and, smoke bombs, things that are actually fun to use in campaigns, things that are useful. And I would say that's probably the biggest strength in this supplement. Things that are useful. Talk about that again. Inventions, here you go. Here's the grappling gun. That's worth it just to have. I can't believe I never thought of a grappling gun. I have to have it. Next time I roll a character, be like, can I use a grappling gun? Can I buy one? So here you have a list of inventions. Again, there's some cool ones. Thing is with inventions, it's like it really is like the sky's the limit on how many inventions you can have. So this is one of the ones where players can come up with, can I make something that throws a little firebolt or something, or a flinging squirt gun, stuff like that. Like the sky's the limit, like I said. And things that protect you from gaseous spells, breath mask, fun stuff. And that's what this one really is. There's a lot of fun stuff and a lot of fun possibilities. And you can see these little charts here. Always fun. Again, very beautifully organized, right? Very easy to look at, easy to reference. Can't say enough about that, because you find some stuff, and I mentioned, but you find stuff on there, you download, and you're like, man, this is organized so badly. We call that stuff Wizards of the Coast. Here you have a kind of overview for how to work in expert campaigns, and you're getting into the like kind of D&D, or I'm sorry, DM guide kind of stuff, right? How to use this. One thing, the guilds thing is pretty cool. Kind of tells you the different kinds of guilds that are kind of associated with this sort of theme, and some extra kind of fun, like a financial guild, right? That includes like bankers and financiers, and science guilds, which might include demolitionists and things like that, which is just kind of fun. And more stuff like adventure hooks, but I want to get down to the guild hall. Here we go. Here he has a whole mapped out sample guild hall, right? With like every room mapped out, who's in it, what kind of NPCs you're likely to find, room by room breakdown, guild rumors, what's the inventory for each each room description. Like this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, where it's like actually useful. Like you could just, if you use nothing else in here, you can buy it just for this, and you've got this like very well mapped out guild hall, right? That saves you from doing the work yourself. Really great stuff. Like this is kind of above and beyond what you need to do. So props to Daddy Rolled a One for including this, and it is very detailed. And this is the kind of thing that you can just plug and play into pretty much any campaign, even if it's not an old school campaign. So one of my favorite parts of this supplement. And sort of rounding it out, we've got some tips, how to run expert campaigns again, rolling random specialist tables that are kind of useful in some regards, rules for siege, some inspirations from literary sources, a list of optional rules. That kind of rounds out the supplement. So kind of close out like my final analysis here. I really like this little supplement, and I don't play a lot of old school stuff. So I don't have enough people to play with that want to do old school stuff. But I would love to add this. I'm probably going to adapt this one to some aspects of it to my campaigns and my games. I'm definitely keeping that guild hall and the concepts for like demolitionists. I really like that stuff. if you want to make a powder keg, you want to make black powder, you want to make a bomb, like all those are super useful to include in your own like I don't know how many of you players or DMs do this, but I keep a big file of my own like DM guide of reference stuff that I look up when I find it and just slap it in there. And this has a lot of that kind of stuff that you can incorporate into a lot of games. It's a very good supplement for DMs. So very good supplement. I guess the important criteria that this hits is, does it have useful stuff that you can actually use as a DM? The answer is yes. Right? It's got the guild hall, it's got the inventions, the demolition stuff. It's got some useful stuff, some useful actually rules for creating NPC experts, right? So if you need to like roll up an expert that they're looking for, if they need to hire a demolitionist, very useful guidelines for doing that on the fly or quickly. Some of the design ideas for the modified classes are very cool. But the relic hunter is just like turning your cleric into a kind of Indiana Jones type character is pretty cool. So I like all those things. Maybe the only con I would have is that actually just more. It could use more inventions and more alchemical substances. Maybe that's just me being lazy, but like he has some cool ones. I just kind of wanted more. Like, but how much time do you want to spend making that stuff? Just kind of depends. But very good supplement. I'm not sure if it's available yet as the time of this publishing for or posting of this video for purchase, but he's got a Kickstarter, and I will link that in the bottom as well as his channel. Definitely recommend you guys check it out. And yeah, Daddy rolled the run. Check out this Alchemy and Demolitions. So what's it called again? I should get the full name. Be cool. Alchemy, Explosives, and Inventions. Yeah, fun stuff. So check it out, and I will see you around.